On today's podcast, we're going to talk about the role that worthy competitors play in helping us improve, grow, and develop if we know who they are and can recognize what role they play in our life and work. Welcome back to The Thermostat with Jason Barger. If you're currently on a commute, a walk, or just a micro break in your day, glad you're making time to step back, to think, and to reflect on the next steps on your journey. I've never been more convinced the best leaders and team cultures in the world are the ones that make time to step back, breathe in good oxygen, and calibrate their thermostat. I hope today's conversation leaves you feeling grounded and inspired. Now let's dive into today's topic to engage our minds and hearts in order to authentically lead and create compelling cultures wherever we are in the world. Hey everyone, it's Jason, and welcome back to the Thermostat Podcast. Wherever you are and however you're coming to the podcast today, welcome back. So glad you are here. So glad that you are a part of this experience. If you are new to the podcast, welcome. So glad you're here. And if you are an OG, one of the folks that have been with us from the very beginning, welcome back. So glad this continues to contribute to your life, your work, add value, and so glad that you all are here. We're well over 150 episodes, I think it is, by now. And so if you're new to the podcast or if you're one of the OGs, I invite you to go back and check out some of the older episodes. We've got so many great interviews and chats with wonderful thought leaders that have joined me on the pod, and then also just other topics and micro pods, as I like to call them, little things that hopefully will engage your mind and your heart. So hope you'll check those out. As always, my promise to you, my hope is that this is a place for you to step back in your day, in your week, again, whenever you're listening to this, and to be filled with some positive mojo for you to step back and to be able to think and to bring some good oxygen to your life and your work. And however you're thinking about that today, I'm more convinced of this than ever. We need authentic leadership, people that are not perfect but caring about people, wanting to create environments and compelling cultures that people want to be a part of, and help us continue to just get better at whatever it is that we're trying to do, the mission of what we're here for, and helping teams and organizations continue to just be places that people want to thrive and be a part of creating the lives and the kind of organizations that they want. So excited to be a part of that. Before we dive into today's podcast, as always, if you will do me the quick favor, 5 stars, if you will rate the podcast 5 stars. Again, I hate that I have to say that, but I keep being told this. That's the way it works. And we need people to continue to rate the podcast 5 stars so that other people can find it. That's how the algorithms decide who gets to see what. If you will also leave positive reviews on whatever platform you're listening to it on, that always helps people. And then, of course, sharing it with people in your network, on your team, your organization, your life, whoever you think should be a part of these conversations. I appreciate you for sharing it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So on today's podcast, we're going to talk about the role that worthy competitors play in helping us improve, grow, and develop if we know who they are and can recognize what role they play in our life and work. But before we get into today's episode, let's pause, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. If you haven't done so already, we hope you'll visit Amazon or Amplify or jasonvbarger.com to check out Breathing Oxygen, my new book that is all about breathing good oxygen into ourselves and mindsets that fuel ourselves and the teams and the organizations around us. Positive, healthy thinking is as essential to great leadership and building a winning culture as the air we breathe. Leading yourself and a team of people has never been more complicated than it is today. As a leader, every move you make is either breathing life into your organization or slowly killing it. The atmosphere can easily turn toxic with negativity, blame, and doubt poisoning the culture. Just like every being on the planet needs good air to breathe, every organization needs leadership that breathes life into its people to sustain the energy required to complete its mission. Breathing Oxygen focuses on 6 key leadership mindsets that breathe life into any team: clarity, inclusivity, mental agility, grit, rest, and ownership. Join us, read, and share Breathing Oxygen.
Available now from Amplify Books on Amazon and jasonvbarger.com.
Okay, two more quick things before we jump into today's episode. A couple of thank yous. First, thank you to everybody out there who continues to support the launch of the new book, Breathing Oxygen. Just came out August 2nd and is receiving tremendous reviews, and so excited about how far it's reaching and the impact that it's having. So thanks to everybody who continues to share with me what it's meant to you and sharing it with other people in your life and work. So cool to see this message of breathing oxygen and thinking about the mindsets that fuel us and as individuals, but then also what kind of oxygen can we be breathing into the teams and the cultures around us. So glad that's resonating. So thanks for everybody who's been helping with that. And also the Thermostat Cultures live event. I want to say thank you to anyone that participated in that on Friday, November 4th. We just had that great event. You can hear a podcast, a recap episode if you weren't a part of that. But we had an amazing group of VIP in-person participants that were part of this. Just amazing spirit in the room. Fabulous people involved. Just, it's so cool. It's such a great collection of humans in one space. And then also had an awesome virtual audience. So people that were part of the experience from all over the place. So great to have that, and just wanted to share that. If you are so inclined, we haven't picked the date for sure for next year, but we are targeting Friday, November 3rd, 2023. If that's something you want to kind of save the date and put in your calendar, if you're wanting to be a part of that powerful day. So today we're talking about this concept of worthy competitors, and we're coming off of the Thanksgiving weekend where, in my world, and if you're a sports fan at all, in my opinion, the greatest rivalry in sports, Ohio State versus Michigan. And if you're not a sports fan, I still hope that you connect with this. Now, transparency, I'm recording this before the game actually takes place, so I'm not even sure what the outcome is, although I have an idea how it's going to play out. So again, I'm not sure how it is, but the build-up for this greatest rivalry in sports is something that I want to begin today's podcast with. I remember memories as a kid, just the excitement of just growing up and all the legendary games and players and the feel of I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and so this being right in the midst of that rivalry was so fun, and the intensity, the excitement, and also the gratitude that I felt and still feel that I got to grow up being a part of that rivalry. The older I've gotten, I've recognized that not everybody grows up with a team they root for, of course, but then also not everybody grows up, even the team they root for maybe doesn't have a rivalry or a really intense game that, and certainly, if this is considered the greatest rivalry in sports, then there's only a couple of those that come close to that. So feel a real sense of gratitude even being part of it. There's been ebbs and flows throughout the over 100 years of this rivalry. There's been times of great battles. There's been times of one-sided affairs, and even stretches of times where either Michigan has been on the upper hand, or as of late Ohio State has had the upper hand. And so there's but there's always, when it's too lopsided, there's always a little something missing. But when both are relevant and both are at their best, it's really magical and really fun to be a part of. Either way, both teams bring out the best in each other and are always, both are working to grow, to develop, to prepare for this game year round. Each causes the other one to strive to develop. And so I've been thinking about this idea of worthy competitors. And people have actually often asked me, because this is a common question that gets asked in business, is that who are your competitors? And people have asked me that personally for the kind of work that I'm in as an author and a speaker and a consultant who teams with companies and organizations to help them with leadership development or culture shaping or clarity around mission, vision, and values. And a number of people have asked me, who are my competitors? Who are your competitors, Jason? And I've had to share with people that in my line of work, I mean, again, I know there are people that I guess people could point to, but I just don't think of it that way. I don't think of it that way. And I know I'm just coming off of explaining the intensity and the excitement around this rivalry of Ohio State, Michigan. But for my line of work and the way that I approach my work, I just don't think of it that way. Even though I know there are other authors and speakers and consultants and thought leaders in the world that are doing amazing work and are really, really talented, wonderful people that are probably technically, I guess, my competitors in the sense that companies and organizations could choose them over me to partner with. Events could say, hey, I like this person's message better than yours or whatever that may be. I understand the fact that technically maybe they are my competitors. But I must admit that I spend really zero time thinking about that. And even though I get that question, who are my competitors? I spend zero time thinking about them in that way. Now for today's conversation, I'm not assuming that you are the same as me. Maybe you are, but I also know that many teams and organizations, there is a clear competitor. There is a clear, worthy competitor that you are competing with every day, every year for market share or whatever that may be for you. You may know exactly who your greatest competitor is and that you are competing with each day. Either way, I hope this chat is helpful for you. So as I reflected on this question of who are my worthy competitors, for me, the way that I think about it, again, because I spend zero time thinking about it from the perspective of other competitors, for me, my biggest competitor is me. For me, I suppose it's more like the game of golf rather than a big rivalry like Ohio State, Michigan. I'm competing with myself to continue to try to grow, to develop, and to learn greater skill as an artist, as a craftsman, as a messenger, as a guide, a facilitator. I'm trying to work on the craft of being able to connect and engage the minds and hearts of people and help us develop our thinking, acting, and interacting around leadership development, culture shaping, and that clarity around mission, vision, and values. And so the course, or the golf course, if we go with that analogy, becomes the landscape of the workplace and what people are facing in the world now. And so learning how to play in the midst of external conditions, that the course plays a little differently each day, each week, each year. The course is always changing, but my skill and development helps me navigate my way and others through that golf course. Now I have other people who do similar work to me, or thought leaders that, authors and speakers and folks that I'm inspired by their work, and I love what they do and their messages and their approaches to things. For sure, there are people. Again, there's so many talented, wonderful people in the world doing great work. I learn from their approaches. I learn from their language and watch kind of their style of play, if you will. But my goal, if I'm most honest, again, I spend zero time thinking about others in this way. My goal isn't to be them. My goal isn't to be them. My challenge is to be the most authentic me, to play my game. So my goal isn't to be them, and it's also not to beat them. I believe that there's enough need and work and places that we all need to contribute to, that my goal really isn't to beat them. My goal, and it's not to be them either, to emulate them. It's to become the best me, to the most authentic me, and to play my game. There's certainly much to be learned from watching others and raising, it helps raise the bar on expectations or helps us not get complacent to maybe think about what is possible. But ultimately, I just don't spend any time thinking about them from the perspective of competitors. Now, for you, again, you may have a worthy competitor that brings out the best in you. And again, competition, a worthy competitors, rivalries, again, I know them and love the challenge to grow, to learn, develop that they bring out in us. And if that's the case, then hopefully they are a positive rivalry for you or a force that drives you to be at your best. And in that case, it's wonderful. But there's also again, hopefully it's not about trying to copy them or be them or just only about beating them. But hopefully baked within that is ultimately it's about being the best you. Worthy competitors and rivals are fun and can bring out the best in us, but they can also become toxic and hurtful when our vision shifts to trying to be someone we're not, or to play a game that isn't authentic to us, or that we're only, relentlessly focused on beating them, that it doesn't matter how we play or the culture we're creating along the way. We have to remember what game we want to be playing, and then how can we be committed to raising our own bar. That alone is the value of competition in my mind in these kind of worthy competitive situations. Your best worthy competitor is within you. It's within all of us. The drive to get better as an individual, as a team, or as an organization to stimulate progress in your future. How can we become more fully us, authentically us, to be our best at whatever it is we're here to do? So leaders and teams, in my opinion, that understand this, organizations that understand this, that are committed to helping their people breathe these kind of mindsets, not only because it's just the right thing to do, if you might think about it that way, or healthy or helpful to them, but also because it helps, I believe, our performance expand. These are the leaders, teams, and organizations that realize they need to continuously be in the business of clearing up that vision for the future, so it improves everyone's sight lines and helps them breathe better so that they can be at their best. That's what healthy leadership, healthy cultures are something that that we're all striving for. These things don't just naturally happen. There's a process to helping us find these creative solutions and a mindset that guides our actions and behaviors. So for this week, as always, let me leave you with some questions to ponder. Do you have a worthy competitor? And if so, who is it? Who is it that hopefully brings out the best in you? What drives you from within? And are you learning about your opportunity to grow on the road ahead? How do you want to compete with yourself to play your game? Not somebody else's game, but how do you want to compete with yourself to play your game? I hope those questions resonate with you and get you stimulating your mind and your heart this week. Lastly, I'll just, people continue to, before we wrap up the pod, people continue to ask about the launching of the new book and how they can help. Well, as the holidays are coming, a couple of the ways that you can help is, one, if you haven't gotten the book yet, I hope you'll get it and read it. That's why I wrote it. I hope people will actually read it, and I hope it resonates with you. And if it does, I hope you'll share with me what about it resonates with you. And then if it authentically resonates with you, I don't want to just sell books. Believe it or not, I don't. I want the messages to really resonate with people. And if and only if it resonates with you and you think these messages are worthy of sharing, I hope you will share it. And by that, I maybe around the holidays, you're giving gifts to teammates and colleagues and friends and whoever that may be, because of the spirit of wanting to share these kind of messages in the world, help expand performance, breathe a little oxygen into the people around you. And lastly, logistically, if you want to help, you can leave reviews, whether that's on Amazon or whatever platform that you're on. I keep being told Amazon reviews have reviews. This helps people find. The more reviews you have, the more amplified the messages get, the more quickly people can find the book and have access to it. So if you have other ideas of how you want to help, if you want bulk copies or you need a discount on bulk copies or something like that, you can You can send us an email, info@jasonvbarger.com, info@jasonvbarger.com, and we can certainly help you figure that out or try to find a creative solution for you. So with everything that's happening in the world, I hope this has been an opportunity for you to breathe in some appreciation and gratitude for all that's within our control. I hope this gives you a little oxygen for your journey. Calibrating our own personal thermostat starts with awareness and then our own response. What actions are we going to put into to action next? I hope you'll keep tuning in for the podcast. I hope this is good support to you on your journey. And remember, the best leaders, teams, and organizations on the planet continue to stimulate progress by recalibrating their thermostat and then breathing oxygen into themselves and to the people around them. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and I hope the messages and questions stimulate positive change along your path. As always, if these messages resonate with you and add value to your life, I hope you'll help amplify them throughout the world. Please rate, comment, and share on whatever podcast or social media platform you're using, and share this podcast with the people in your life or work who should be part of these conversations. That way, this spirit does, in fact, spread. If these messages or developing leaders and culture would be helpful to you and your organization, please contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. And remember, we are all ambassadors for the culture we want to create in our life and work. We have to own the vision we want to be a part of. The future of leadership is you, is me, is us. Be a thermostat.